Welcome to Hands On Heroes podcast. I'm here at West-MEC and I'm here at Mesa Community College with one of the instructors. But first I want to introduce the instructor behind this program.
Hi, I'm Courtney Humley. I'm one of our program managers.
My name is Richard Jones. I'm the Wellman instructor here at the Northeast campus.
My name's Raquel Diaz.
I'm Ken Hackler with Mesa Community College, which is part of the Maricopa Community College District.
I'm Paul Getz. I'm the IT security instructor for the West-MEC Southwest campus here in Buckeye, Arizona.
We are exploring the education and the opportunities that are out there to get into construction and high-tech jobs and careers. I think I'm going to transition and hear from some of the students now who are taking this program and hear their human story, what they think about this program and where they're going next. Welcome to Hands On Heroes podcast. I'm Val Crafton, the voice of grit. I champion the people who power progress and prove that the future is built by those willing to get their hands dirty. Let's dive in. Welcome to Hands On Heroes podcast. I'm here at West-MEC High School and really wanted to highlight an example of a tech school that's really partnering with the local high schools to bring mechanical, semiconductor education, data center education like SOC and NOC and IT security, clean room, also electrical, trades, all of those amazing programs into the high schools and really planting those seeds. Now, Hands On Heroes' goal is really to plant the seeds for the children for tomorrow, but I want to highlight the needs of today. This is an amazing program, and I'm here with the program director. Go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us who you are.
Hi, I'm Courtney Humley. I'm one of our program managers here at West-MEC. So I oversee the curriculum, certifications, and other aspects of a lot of our programs here.
Fantastic. Thanks for taking a few minutes to sit down. Now we're going to go visit some of the teachers, professors here who are actually teaching the children and interviewing a few of the students to talk about, what they were dreaming about before they joined this program, what inspired them, and what they're going to do next with this education, which is pretty exciting. Now, tell me a little bit more about this program, how you partner with the local high schools.
So West-MEC is a career and technical education school district. So we are our own school district, but we have partner programs at all the local high schools. So students go to their high school to get their math, their English, or science courses, and then they come to us specifically for their CTE program. So they come to us for anywhere from 2.5 to 4 hours a day, Monday through Friday. So we are still a high school program. They still have a graduation with us. They get elective credits, all of that through the program.
I think that's incredible. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Some of them are able to transition directly into jobs and careers straight from this program. And some of them go on to college, to junior colleges and universities, correct?
Correct. So almost all of our programs offer some type of dual enrollment credit. So if they want to go to college, they have that leg up. But we also are big on certifications. In order to have a CTE program, you have to have an industry certification. And many of our programs have multiple. So they can go straight out into the industry and start working at a higher wage than a lot of entry level.
That is incredible. I think that's just beautifully set up. Now, tell us a little bit about who we're going to meet today.
So we have a lot of programs that we're going to see. We will see our advanced manufacturing program, which is a brand new program. They have a clean room in there, and that was a big partnership that we started with TSMC.
Okay.
We have construction and electrical, so our trades programs, welding as well. We have that program. And then we're also going to see our energy and manufacturing program where they're looking more at the energy side. We have an IT security program where they do a lot of that network security.
That is incredible. Well, thank you so much for giving us an intro into some of the folks we're going to meet. Where is your program going next?
So we actually just passed our bond and our override. So we have a lot more campuses in the works. Right now we have 4 campuses. We will be building another standalone campus, and we're starting to partner with high schools to put campuses on their high school campus. So we'll have a West-MEC campus there so students can walk right across the street.
Wow.
So if transportation's an issue, we're trying to reach as many students as we can.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, thanks for taking a few minutes to intro into the program. I'm excited to go meet some of the students, some of the professors and teachers, and let's go. Thanks so much. Welcome to Hands on Heroes podcast. I have another hero here, and we're inside what would be sort of a mimic of a knock or sock room, and we're going to learn a little bit more about that. But first, I want to introduce the instructor behind this program. Tell us who you are, who you're with.
Yeah, I'm Paul Getz. I'm the IT security instructor for the West-MEC Southwest campus here in Buckeye, Arizona.
Now, prior to becoming an instructor, tell us a real high level your journey and how you ended up in this space.
Yeah, so I'll see if I can wrap this up a little bit shorter, but just to kind of give a little bit of background, I didn't start in IT security. I actually started in mechanical construction and mechanical engineering, and so I worked at an MEP firm in Paradise Valley. I did that for about 18 years, and so I was lucky enough to kind of transition from hands-on architecture to putting things on the computer. And so one of my first tasks as a younger person in the office was to build a computer that would support 3D design. So we were moving from 2D to 3D. My bosses were terrified, and so I had built a machine to support the 3D construction modeling at the time. And through that process, I really started to fall in love with like computing and so forth. And so we opened up a Albuquerque office where we were going to have an IT branch that was responsible for putting IT infrastructure into hospitals. And so I just naturally transitioned into that, but they wanted me to relocate. I went back to school and got a master's degree in IT, transitioned my career, and now I've been doing IT for about as long, so almost 20 years.
Incredible. What an amazing journey. Now, the future of security is pretty important, IT security. I mean, with everything going, basically AI, it's really driving a big piece of that. A lot of people working remote. This is not going away. The IT security is one of the top important jobs. We have them in every data center for sure, and a few other jobs. I want to learn a little bit more about that. But first, let's talk about this program here. And now I understand that these are high school students. We're just planting seeds with high school students, which I think is incredible. Tell us a little bit about this program.
Yeah, so I'll tell you, like when we first started, we have advisory councils of members from the community. In our case, we have people from Google, we have Amazon, we have lots of different organizations who sit on those boards. And so they bring us information from industry, and we take those and tailor our programs around them. One of the first things that industry told me was that you can't take high school students and get them industry certifications because they don't have the experience. And so how are you going to be able to build the experience without them having worked in it to go get the certifications? Well, I like a good challenge. And so I said, well, I've been able to do it with college students in the past. I think I can do it with high school students. And so just a little bit about the program. So it's a 2-year program. It's 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. I get students for 2.5 hours a day. That's 12.5 hours a week of hands-on instruction, hands-on time. And so each semester is a different theme. Semester 1 is foundational. We're going to work on hardware and software. We're going to build that thing so I understand what goes into computers and so forth and how that stuff affects the overall computing environment. The second semester, we get into operating systems. We focus on both Linux and Windows. Semester 3 is all networking. So we're going to go into networking. What happens when I hit the keyboard enter key? What happens with data as it traverses across the network? Who needs access to the information? Who do we need to restrict? Right? So we also get into Cisco CCNA, routing and switching. That's where a lot of the equipment that we have next to us comes into play. So they understand like the differences between a home network and an enterprise network. And then finally, our last semester is our cybersecurity semester. It's all focused on penetration testing in both offensive and defensive security. So in order to protect ourselves from the bad guys, we have to understand how they operate. We have to be able to mimic some of that, but we also have to put that ethical component into it so that they know the difference between using it for the powers of good versus the powers of bad.
Oh, I think that's really beautiful. And you touched on something there in the beginning that they didn't think the high schoolers could do this because they didn't have the experience. And this goes back to why, I founded Hands on Heroes in the first place is we do not give young folks enough benefit of the doubt of their capabilities all the way down to the elementary level. I really believe in planting seeds for tomorrow. And then they're sponges. They're dreaming about what they want to be when they grow up. And by the time they're in high school, we need to start getting their hands into something because I know that when I've spoken at career fairs and spoken with a lot of students, and I ask them in high school, on their senior year if they know what they want to be when they graduate. And a lot of them say no. And if they'd had a program like this, it might actually have driven them towards something better. Now, what are some of the jobs careers that they walk out of? And are there any jobs that they go directly into out of your program?
Yeah, that's a great question. So in the early days, I would say like it was around 50-50. We had 50% of students that would go out and they would try to find an entry-level job in the industry, and the other 50 would go on to, well, the other 40 or 45 would go on to like a 4-year or 2-year degree program. And then the remaining 10%, 5%, they would go into the military or choose a different alternate path, sometimes even outside of information technology. Today, what we're seeing is we're having a high amount of students who are going to universities and so forth. We have a dual enrollment program here. We're associated with the Estrella Mountain Community College. They're able to get about 29 credit hours taken care of, which equates to about a year of college. Now, if they combine that with their home high school with some of the general ed stuff, a lot of our students are able to graduate with a 2-year degree shortly after they complete the program here at West-MEC. And so we provide a pathway. Ultimately, it's going to be the family and the student's decision. But what we want to do is we want to provide the options and let it ultimately be okay to choose whatever path. So we're starting to see a trend where now folks are getting, so to just tie things together, we talked about the program, how it's structured. We talked about the certifications. There's about 9 core IT certifications that are available between CompTIA and Cisco. We lead the entire country in high school students obtaining those credentials, and we lead it by quite a big margin. In a year, we're getting 100 to 150 credentials with 30 to 53 students. And so every student leaves here with some type of thing they can add to their resume.
That's fantastic. So how do you see the outlook for and demand for this program once they go in? I mean, is this a pretty big demand in the industry?
So everybody's terrified right now of the word AI, right? So the whole thing is AI is going to take our jobs, right? But you haven't been in data centers and so forth, understand that AI is a big topic, and yes, it will automate some basic tasks. We're not training people to be like on the front lines. We're training people to do the heavier lifting like down the road. And regardless, the more infrastructure we put back into the back end with AI, all that means is that we're going to have more physical equipment. We're going to have more data centers. We're going to have more things that are tangible and hands-on. And so we still need humans to be able to do those roles. If an AI situation is looking at traffic coming through a network and trying to determine is it good or bad, and trying to think of what to do with it within detection system, whether it's a penetration system or whatnot, we still need somebody on the back end to analyze that information and put a human touch to it. We can't just leave that up to an automated process because errors are going to be made. So the outlook is great. So our students are going out and working for companies. I'll just give you a couple of examples. We just had a student that left here, went to ASU, was able to complete their associate degree in a pretty fast time frame, got a first-year internship with General Motors in our IT department, finished General Motors, was able to get another internship with a company called CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike is one of the largest IT companies out there. CrowdStrike just hired this student. He's going to be making well over $125,000 to start. He's 20-something years old. That's becoming the norm, not the exception. Is it for every student coming out of the program? The answer is no. But I always tell students, if you put in the time and you focus on not just the technical ability, when you come out of this class, you went through 2 hard years, right? It's very dedicated. But we also focus on professional skills. Like, what are we doing as far as communication, leadership? We're talking about the whole package. I always tell people, we teach people to be the non-IT student. Like, it's not the old days where the IT person was that grumpy person in the background, pressing buttons and not talking to humans.
You're teaching those soft skills that we desperately need, because the communication between humans is huge.
It's the whole package.
It's the whole package.
It's the whole package. And so we're working on the whole entire human, not just the technical ability. Like I can take an average technical person who has high integrity and high professional skills, and we can train them on the things that they don't understand on the technical side. Versus, I tell students all the time, you could be the most technical person ever, but if somebody doesn't want to work with you, you're not going to be employed very long. So
Yeah, that's a big key. I mean, so much of the problems and root causes is the lack of cross-functional alignment and communications between the different departments within a company. And so those communication skills and those soft skills are huge. And I love that you're putting a presence around that as part of your program.
Microsoft's on the west side of town now. They've literally told us, they've come out and presented in class, if a student attains their A+ certification, which is the second one of the 9 that we focus on in our program, that already qualifies them for an interview, a face-to-face interview with Microsoft, for one of Microsoft partners. And so that is their minimum requirement. So we do quite a bit after that, but we're establishing those relationships, whether it be with Microsoft, whether it be with Amazon, whether it be with TSMC down the street for chip manufacturing. These are all very important, and that people are starting to see what we're doing, but we still need to expose ourselves and get more out there into the workforce.
So for those of you who are sitting there going, what is a data center? What's a knock and sock room? Let's give some education here before we wrap it up. Let's explain it from the expert.
Well, I always say, so at the end of the day, it's physical equipment. We've always said that, when we talk about the cloud, everybody thinks the cloud is some mystical thing that we're just magically going to pull down from the air. What it really is it is a centralized area that stores information. So oftentimes when we're at our desktop, we're looking at either being on a Windows operating system, possibly a Mac operating system, but generally speaking, it's being served up from a Linux system, and that Linux system is typically going to be in a cloud environment, which is basically inside a data center. So when we look, for instance, we have a small little data center. I don't know if you guys will get a picture of it. We can. We have a lot of equipment, and all it's meant to do is to mimic what a real data center would look like on a real microscopic scale. So I tell students that if I can handle routing and switching at this level, there's no difference. It just means that when I walk into a data center, it's got co-located spots. There's specific layout for where I'm going to be working. And at the end of the day, it's routing, switching, and servers. So it's where information is being stored and allocated from. And so we could get the whole discussion on how we secure that, but there's lots of things around that too. But a lot of our students are going and getting entry-level jobs, and so a lot of them are now getting hired at various data centers. And as entry-level technicians in the data center, they do tasks every day of maybe a customer's RAM needs to be replaced, or there's to be some type of hardware update or integration. They're just doing these basic tasks, but they have the opportunity to move up to their networking, to move up to the cybersecurity areas. There's a multitude of different jobs you can get within that cloud or that data center infrastructure.
Yeah, so whenever I ask students if they've heard of the cloud, they always raise their hand, but then when I ask them what a data center is, nobody knows. The data center is the cloud, and that is where everything's stored. Every time you take a picture, every time you want to stream a video, every time you send a text, every time you want to electronically get your money, all of this data is getting stored in a data center, and it is basically a utility that we need to function every day, especially with AI.
One thing I do to get them to think about it too is if you have a service like Microsoft Office 365, or Adobe, cloud, right? Any of those things that you're paying a monthly fee for, any of those monthly charges, you're typically going to be using a cloud-based program. That's something that's being served up to you via the internet.
That's right.
Connected to the hardware.
That's fantastic. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about the data room, and I did take a little bit of video of that. So we'll be sharing that on here as well. So when we bring that up, you'll get to walk through and see some of the cabinets that the students learn on. But I want to thank you so much for taking the time to share a little insight to the program, what is possible. If you don't have a program like this, if you're not in Arizona, which is where we are today, maybe look for a program like this in your area, and maybe your high school will actually partner with them and do some dual credits. So thank you again for your time and sharing and inspiring.
I appreciate the opportunity. And one thing we also say is that if there's anybody, regardless of if they're local or not, we're always willing to talk to folks around the country. And if there's anything we can do to offer any type of assistance or advice, or just have a collaboration and conversation, we're always willing to do that too.
I love that. So you heard it right here. We're here to collaborate and share knowledge, and because this is really important for our future. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Appreciate it.
We we are here at West-MEC, and I am capturing a little bit from the students who are taking this program, and we want to learn, what they're inspired them and so forth. Now, we're here with Hands on Heroes podcast, and I just really wanted to bring some of the education in my area. Maybe you can look it up in your own. So tell me who you are and what program you're in.
I'm Miriam. I'm a second year in the Energy and Manufacturing Systems here at Southwest West-MEC campus.
Fantastic.
Hi, my name is Giselle. I'm a first year at the Energy and Manufacturing Systems program.
Fantastic. So tell me a little bit, what inspired you to take this program? Who wants to go first?
I can go, yeah. So I am right in high school. I'm a senior. And throughout math and all the different courses, I was just really curious, like, how do we get the buildings like this? How do we get all the different components that we have, even the food we eat? And that all goes back down to manufacturing, the electricity, and all the trades really that truly go into it. And so I just wanted to learn more about how do you get what we have?
Was that inspired by a program they were introduced it to you at your school, or was it someone in your life?
I think it was a mix of curiosity and then also my mom. She's an engineer. And so hearing her talk about what she's doing, it just really got me interested and intrigued into this program.
Amazing. That's incredible. So tell me a little bit. I'm just going to switch sides here so we can get a little closer. Tell me a little bit about what inspired you to take this program.
What really inspired me to take this program would be like my brother. He also did the same program here at the same campus and everything. And it was also a mix of curiosity because I don't know. I just find it really interesting. And energy is a trade. It's really going to be around forever. Everybody needs energy. It's like a growing trade.
That's very true. I mean, it is actually, we can't build it fast enough. We need more and more of it. So there's a lot of different ways to bring the energy and your manufacturing to everyone. And like you said, it touches just about everything from data centers to semiconductors and microchips that allow us to get internet and watch videos and store all of our data every time we send a text or send a photo or want to store a picture in the cloud. It all goes back to those types of things, not to mention our food supply. I mean, what an important thing, right? Okay, so tell me a little bit. I'm just curious. Before you really start, when you were little, what were you dreaming about when you grew up? What did you want to be before you really had that inspiration stick out? I mean, you said your brother inspired you because he went to the program and he was probably talking about it and you were like, wow, that sounds really like something I would like to do too. Before that happened, what were you dreaming about when you were little, when you wanted to grow up? What'd you want to be?
For a really long time, I wanted to be a doctor, help people. But I don't know. It didn't really work out, I guess. That could be it, but.
Well, I mean, the doctor program, that's something to inspire by, but it was also probably something that you were exposed to, right? Everybody goes to a doctor, and you've probably met a few females who were your pediatrician and so forth growing up. And I know a lot of folks who want to dream to do that. But when you start thinking about the science and math that goes into this, and you heard about this program, what are you hoping to go into and transition into now that you're in this program? What's your goals?
My goal is to become an electrical engineer, go to ASU, get my degree, hopefully go into the Navy. That way they pay for it.
I think that's a fantastic plan. And what a beautiful pivot, because we desperately need more engineers like that. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to see and maybe hear about what you do in your future. So I'm going to hop back over to the other side. We're going to learn a little bit more about what you were dreaming about when you were growing up. Now, you had a mom who exposed you, so she was always an engineer your whole life. And so that exposure was built upon built. So it's very possible, and I'm going to find out, it's very possible that you have been dreaming about this the whole time. Is that true?
Well, so actually my mom wasn't always an engineer.
Really?
Yeah, she started out as a teacher, and then she needed more income to support the family. And so she went back to school, and while being a single mom, raising 3 kids, and having a full-time job as a teacher, she got her degree in engineering.
That is an incredible story. Women are incredible.
Yeah.
Talk about major multitasking.
Yeah.
That's a huge feat, and what a huge inspiration. So before that, what were you dreaming about you wanted to be?
So I was jumping back and forth. I started when I was really, really young. I wanted to be the first female president of America.
Me too.
Obviously, I've shifted. Politics just really isn't my interest, isn't my passion. But I did switch over to wanting to be a teacher like my mom. So I'm just really following in her footsteps, I suppose.
Oh, that is incredible. So dreaming about being a teacher and then transition. So let's fast forward. What are you dreaming about now? What are you planning on transitioning into out of this program?
Yeah, so after this program, I'm going to go get my electrical engineering degree as well. And I'm not sure where yet. I'm still looking into schools, but I'm going to get that. And then I want to go into the power industry. But I also want to get my master's in project management.
Wow. Talk about two ladies who have really thought forward about what they want to do and are hyper focused on their goals. That is incredible. Thank you for being an inspiration to all little girls and future women. And frankly, we're still trailblazing this road. I just pulled both of them out of a classroom, and both of them were the only girl in their classroom. We need more of them. So I'm excited that you all are standing here representing and really trailblazing this program forward. And let's inspire some more girls to join this program. We need more electrical engineers. Thank you. Yeah. Welcome to Hands On Heroes podcast. I'm here interviewing one of the local West-MEC high school professors, teachers, and I'm so excited. Instructor, okay?
Yeah.
And let's just jump right in here. Go ahead and tell us who you are, what has been your path? How did you end up in this industry? And up to how did you become the teacher?
How did I become the teacher? I can give you my story is like it's loaded. Honestly, it's all the things. But actually, I started out as homeless. I was a homeless teenager. I was kind of bouncing couch to couch. My parents kicked me out. I was a 16-year-old with a child, actually, and I had to just kind of figure it out very quickly. My husband and we met. I was very young, and he kind of just like. I don't know, he's a little bit older than I was and kind of helped me he pushed me in a constructive way to like go to industry, oddly. But anyways, so we were homeless, we were couch hopping, and then we became hotel hoppers. And then we moved out to Sterling, Colorado, which is the northeastern border of Colorado. And there just happened to be this project that came in. We had... We were able to get an apartment. We were working day labor. That was kind of helped pave my path a little bit. I knew I didn't want to do day labor forever. It's just minimal pay. You're waiting to go out. It's all the things. Anyway, so we end up in this house, and a wind company had come through town. And at that time, they were pretty new to the industry. Wind construction was within its first maybe 10 years. It went from like being prototypes in California to being like big farms in everywhere else in the country, basically. So they were looking for locals. So I applied. I got the job. I don't know how. I just applied. I had no background in it. I didn't go to school to do it. And I'm like, you know what? I said, if this gets me out of my situation for a while, I'll go do it. So I remember getting on the first project. I was in northeastern Colorado, and we worked there a few months. I lived out there. They were like, hey, we're gonna go to Texas. Do you want to go? And I was like, yeah, I want to go. Of course I want to go. Why wouldn't I want to go? They're offering me a full-time job. I'm going from this like bad kind of day labor, no education. Because mind you, I dropped out of high school. I had to drop out. I had to take care of my child. So I pack up my stuff, head for Texas. That actually put me on a path to a 17-year career in wind that I never thought I would have had. And it was just purely, I just happened to apply for the right thing at the right time. And I have personally always prided myself on good work and doing the best job I could. So I just worked like the men out there. I took a lot of crap, honestly, from the men, but I did what I had to do to keep that job. So I stayed with them for 10 years. I was a site lead. I kind of pivoted over, and then I started working for a sub company of General Electric. And I got on as a traveling troubleshooting type technician. And I had done that. So overall, I worked 17 years in the industry. What brought me into teaching was I love industry. Industry is my passion. You know what? I'm getting older. I don't want to be laying under things and covered in oil. But there was a job that was posted at a local community college in my hometown. And my husband's like, you should apply for that. You'd be really good at it. He's like, you would really be able to train kids, students, whatever. And I was like, you know what? Okay. I applied for it and I got it. I got it, right? So, and then when I started teaching, I was a college professor. I can't even take that professor role because people go to school forever for it, but not me. So I was working as a professor and I was teaching renewable energy.
Incredible.
For people who wanted to be wind technicians.
Amazing.
And I loved it. I loved it. I was super passionate about it. We taught all kinds of things there, motors, electrical, all the things that I knew. And then we had to leave Colorado, move into Utah. I'm teaching automation and robotics, things like that. Loved it there. And then I had picked up an AM STEM course. It was high school kids. And I realized that I love teaching high school kids more than I love teaching adults. Because kids, they have a lot of that aha moment when I can teach somebody something and they are like, oh my God, I get it. That's my moment. I live for that moment. But
amazing.
It is so good. So I'm really, this really is my dream job, to teach high school CTE. And so like, here I am to stay.
That
I
is
love
incredible. It's an incredible story. I have a similar story, and I don't want to make it about me, so we're not going to talk about that today.
Yep.
But right now, I just want to highlight a few things that you said.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about being in a place where you weren't thriving.
I wasn't.
And then you transitioned into the trades, which changed your life.
Changed my life.
And it wasn't the normal path that most people think you need to go, which is directly into college. She went and she got paid to learn. And that's what most trades do, is they pay you to learn.
They do.
They make you independent. Now, ended up going to college. And what I found was when I got out in the field, I come from the construction side. What I found when I got out into the field was the folks who had gone through that non-traditional path, that trade experience on the job, school of hard knocks, as you might call it. It's that space where they had gotten paid to learn the last 4 years while I was paying someone else to learn for the last 4 years. And they were buying houses when I was paying off college debt. So I really am if somebody would have taken me under my wing back in the day, I would have gone the same exact path. But I ended up having to leave my small town and figure it out. And I found my way into college as a single mom, pushing my way through because of the only way I thought I was going to get taken seriously was going to college. And then I found out it was quite the opposite. And it took me a while after college to get taken seriously because frankly, all I learned was ABCs of constructions. I didn't really have any hard knocks to drive toward that. So I love that story. And I think that's the story of a lot of people, right?
That's how it goes for me too. So like, I dropped out of high school and I didn't have I did go back and get my GED, but I didn't go to college. But like when I started working for particularly General Electric, they sank a lot of money into me and they sent me off to like wind school. And I have stacks of certifications now.
Incredible.
Things from like automation companies, GE certs, and for things that I just never thought I would have, like just for wiring, for programmable logic controllers, things that I would have never gotten had I stayed in my hometown.
That is actually a really great point because so many of us think, well, I'll go in the trades. Sure, they'll teach me how to use my hands, but they will also pay for continuous education for sure. So if you do want to continue to grow and you've got this growth mindset and you want to get into a management role or even start teaching it one day. I mean, you can do all of these without going the traditional path. I just love your story. Let's fast forward to today. Okay. So today we're at West-MEC High School. You said you love teaching these high schools.
I love teaching high school.
I love this program so much because we're already exposing the high school before they even, I just have to tell you this story. I went to a high school, 187 graduating students. I asked the question, how many of you knew what you want to do when you graduated? 3 hands went up. I was actually quite surprised by that. They need you. So, and so when I asked them, who knows what, the cloud is? Everybody raised their hand. Okay. So I knew they weren't just being shy. There really was only 3 people who knew for sure what they were going to do. No doubt a lot of them probably ended up going to college, floundering around, changing their major several times, ended up deciding college wasn't for them. They'll drop out, no degree, no job, and a lot of debt still. We don't want that to be your path. We want your path to be, go try some things out, go test it out, go do internships, go get your hands dirty, see if you even like it.
Sure.
Right? You're still discovering who you are besides who you want to be when you grow up.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I strongly encourage that. Let's talk about this program. You teach, tell us what you teach and what this program is about that you're teaching here as an instructor.
I teach energy and manufacturing systems year 1. And what I teach in year 1 is basic safety, so industry safety. We cover an array of just anything industry safety, and it's a constant, even to this point where we're at, where you're in the fundamentals and mechanics of mechanical systems, and it's still safety and mechanics at the same time. But so I teach safety, I teach maintenance. Industrial maintenance operations.
Very important.
I
mean, we're constantly upgrading the technology.
Absolutely.
Not just upgrading the technology, but things go wrong. Someone's got to be in there to fix it and know what they're looking at.
Well, and we have technology and we have all these great things that tell you what a machine is doing, but really it's still operating on a very simple mechanical principle. Yeah. So it's like, who maintenances that? Not the computer guys. They're not doing that. So I train technicians to do that.
Love it.
And then I teach introduction to mechanical systems and then applied. We'll do applied. And then fluid power. So anything hydraulics, pneumatics. And then I'll teach pumps and valves this year as well.
Incredible. What a great program. What are some of the careers that the students transition into from this program?
Okay, so a lot of their dream is to go to Palo Verde, the nuclear power plant that's up here. It's a lot of generational people who have worked in this role. So a lot of them are here because their parent was like, hey, you're going to go right there,
and back to my root cause of how we got into this labor crisis in the first place is we're not exposing young children of what's possible. We're letting them know that there's only one path, and that's college. I'm here to really let you know that we got to plant the seeds of tomorrow with these students, and we got to start very, very young.
Yeah, I agree to that. APS, the local power company, they'll pick them up also. But we also work with places like Day and Zimmerman. We work with Parker. Parker Automation will take people like this. It's manufacturing.
Fantastic.
Amazon. Yes. But not just like somebody who fills orders. We're talking about technician level students who can work on their robotics, who can work on their mechanical systems and keep those plants operational. And my goal is always to make sure that I'm not teaching only electrical or only the mechanical side of it. I want well-rounded technicians that leave here. That was really great in wind is because in my field, you weren't just electrical, you weren't just mechanical, you were all the things.
Yes.
So I was actually talking to a parent one day and he said, the one bad part about always working in nuclear is that I always had to live around a nuclear power plant, which there's only a handful across the country.
Right.
But if you were a well-rounded tech and you had the electrical and the mechanical, you could literally work anywhere.
Yes.
You could work anywhere.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, nuclear is the future, I believe, of our power. Our grid system cannot keep up with the demand of what we need. There's more applications for the power than there's years from it. So the nuclear programs that, SMRs and so forth, they're trying to develop as a future for power. And I'm hearing that we'll probably have our first ones by 2030. Wow. So some of these students could then transition to some of those jobs that you're going to start seeing as part of your neighborhood instead of grid systems, nuclear power plants.
Well, we have large solar and we have large wind farms and we have nuclear. Nuclear's a small part and wind is a small part and so is solar. But, like we have companies out here that are just building miles and miles of solar plants. And now battery backup is becoming a thing.
Yes, microgrids, 100%. Yes.
NextEra, they're a company out of Florida. They are definitely pushing that direction. And solar works out really great in areas like this because we get a ton of light where wind does not work out out well here because we just don't have the wind
Right.
for it.
But if you drive from Arizona to California, you'll see
got all
tons of wind farms along the way.
Yes. So northeastern Colorado there's a lot of wind. Wyoming, North Dakota, South Dakota. And in my career, I spent the majority working middle America. I have been out to California. I've been in the Mojave Desert, and it's incredible. It's just a span of wind tower. I mean, a picture does not capture what that place looks like. And so it's great to see all these little things that just make everyday life for people happen.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Another really popular power right now is natural gas. We're utilizing it to bridge some of the demand since we can't get the grid fast enough, but then we have to think about our environment simultaneously. So there's some things to balance out there. That's not the forever solution. That's a temporary bridge solution. But we have a lot of
Wyoming, not Wyoming, you go into Montana or you go up in the Pacific Northwest, they're harnessing hydropower.
Yes.
And that's predominantly that's how they're powering everybody is with water.
Yeah. And geothermal and geo engine and some of the old dead oil beds as well.
Sure.
So I love that. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. I think it's going to be inspirational for anybody who's listening, looking to pivot in your career. One, it's never too late.
Never too late.
And two, if you don't know what you're going to do, maybe you need to look up a program like this. It's definitely a part of the future.
The trade schools are really great.
Yeah.
If you can find a trade, they'll get you out to the industry fairly quickly and to make really great money.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
This episode is powered by Mod 42, the modular data center company redefining speed to market. From design to delivery, Mod 42 brings precision manufacturing, quality assurance, and trusted execution to every build. When reliability can't wait, Mod 42 delivers. Learn more at mod42.com. So, hi. So I'm here with Hands On Heroes, and I've got a couple of special guests with us. And we're still inside the welding lab. And I got the chance to meet these young ladies. Please tell me what your names are.
My name is Sienna Martin.
Sienna Martin.
My name is Jaylene Garcia.
Jaylene Garcia. And what made you want to take a welding class?
Honestly, I don't know what was going through my mind when I was picking welding, but I was thinking more outside of the box, more because I'm more on the creative side. So, and I thought welding would be pretty awesome. So that's why I picked it.
Okay, so because you're creative and it enables you to actually create things, probably with metal and things like that. Now, how about you? What brought you to the class?
Well, I seeing a video. I would get videos from women in Texas working in the oil field jobs, and I thought it was interesting. And then I searched up how much you can make, and that obviously brought my attention because of how much money And welding is an art, so that's why I picked it, because I'm really creative when it comes to art.
So two things you picked up on. One, or actually three things. It's hands-on. It enables you to utilize your creative, and imaginations and creativity. And three, it gives you independence because, let's face it, jobs like this make good money, really good money. And not only that, but you can get so creative with the hood. Look at this bedazzling art. How beautiful is that? I just think that's so cool. Now, tell me what you think now that you've taken the class. You didn't know for sure what to expect, but now that you're here, what do you think? You love it?
I love it. It's awesome.
It's awesome.
Fun. Yeah. Something new every day.
Something new every day.
Something new every day.
What are you going to do next with it? Has it kind of helped mold your mind on where you think the future is going to go with this?
Yeah. I want to get more into I'm thinking more of my future for I want to move to Texas and get into all that stuff. Underwater welding is very striking to me, so I do want to maybe pursue that.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I was just reading an article about scuba divers who are welding underwater and laying fiber under the ocean. And so you have these really cool jobs that allows us to even connect the internet across from country to country. I just think it's really fascinating. That's incredible. Now, did you learn about this future jobs while you were here?
No, I've seen it on YouTube. What's the most dangerous jobs? And I was like, oh, welding. And then we're putting electricity and water together, so.
Oh my goodness, I love that you're going after something fearless.
Yeah.
That is incredible. Most of the time when they think of girls in these jobs, they think, oh, they're not going to want to do it. It's so dangerous. But it was the one thing that attracted you to it.
Yeah.
That is incredible. It sounds like we could do anything. So tell me, what are you thinking? Now that you've taken the class, where do you see your future going as of today? Obviously it's evolving, right? It's an ever-evolving thing. But
Like she said, I wanted to go to Texas, try a power plant, and then, or maybe move up to welding inspector and inspect other people's welds. It gains more money.
yeah, it is a really great future. And the reality is we have a job crisis. And no matter which direction you go with your welding, you're always going to have a job. You're always going to have a job and you're always going to make great money. So thank you so much for taking a few minutes to share with me your journey, how cool you all are doing this, and fearless for that matter. I think it's incredible. Thank you so much.
Welcome to Hands-On Heroes. I'm here at West-MEC, and this time we're in the welding shop. Now I'm with a special guest who teaches welding. Tell me who you are.
So my name is Richard Jones. I'm the welding instructor here at the Northeast campus.
Fantastic. And how long have you been welding?
I've been welding for 25 years, professionally for around 15.
Fantastic. And now you've transitioned into teaching. What inspires you to come in and to choose children every month?
So I kind of fell into it just out of nowhere, really. I was working at substitute a little bit, and then just, I don't know, the reward of seeing them when it clicks, like when they get it, and then they go on, and I've had students go on to do really good things and get jobs, and it's very rewarding.
Yeah, there's nothing it's more exciting than inspiring the future generation in an industry where, frankly, this is a labor crisis. The trades are a labor crisis, and we need welders. We need welders in a lot of different places, in construction, structural skill, pipe, mechanical pipe, and other things. What are some of the jobs you see these students go on to do?
I've had students go on to do structural welding. A lot of them want to do structural welding, pipe, go to manufacturing facilities. I have a student now that's making the boxes for the fire department keys.
Oh, wow, yes.
And working in the shop all day, and the AC loves it. I've had others go into maintenance.
Yeah.
I've had a couple, when I was doing the adult ed side, that were mechanics, came in and want to just add welding to their resume.
Mm-hmm.
And now I just ran into one last weekend at Monster Trucks, works for Cat. And
No way.
he's, they're like head welder, mechanic,
That is amazing. Now, when you say CAT, you mean Caterpillar.
Caterpillar.
Yeah, okay, just making sure for those acronyms sometimes in our industry to get the best of us. Okay, so outside of that, you're actually talking to folks who are still in high school. You're teaching
Yes.
the high school level. So would you say that this is a really great starter class to determine if this is something you want to do?
I think it's a great class. I don't know if I would call it a great starter.
Okay, where would you start?
So I think starting would be, there's numerous places that do like hour-long classes, stuff
Okay.
like that. You can go to these little welding workshops that hold all over the valley. And then, or just taking like an ag class at your home high school. I have a few students that did that. Last year took ag and now they really like welding. So now they're welding.
Okay.
Because this is really like designed for students to come in and get jobs as welders.
Oh, excellent. So they're leaving your program upon graduating high school and going right into a job.
Absolutely.
Oh, that is incredible. That
I
is
talked
amazing.
to one of the high school students from my old campus just 2 weeks ago. He's working out in Pennsylvania, putting up some solar
Oh, we're working on
farms.
solar. So I couldn't have heard several things now. I heard solar, I heard manufacturing, I heard right for FTC tablets, right for firefighting, fire sprinkler special. There is a lot of different directions, not just to mention structural steel for sure.
So many. And I mean, I have a couple students working at Parker Aerospace
Aerospace?
doing just
There's a lot of-
aerospace, TIG welding. Yeah, just there's so many different avenues you can go with, kind of whatever is your poison.
Is it just this one class, or is there several levels to the welding program?
So the welding program is 2 years long, so
Okay.
it's 4 semesters.
Okay.
And the first year we just focus on SMAW.
Okay.
So we'll do T joints, and then open root. We'll do open root welds with and without back beam, all SMAW, and then we do oxy-acetylene cutting, plasma cutting, and carbon cutting in the first year. And then next year we'll move on to wire feed, both solid, flux bore, intershield, and then on to GTAW.
So 2 years, you finish the course, and you go right into a job. I think that's phenomenal.
It's amazing.
That is amazing. And there's a huge crisis. We need them desperately in the industry. So if you're considering something that you can be hands-on, this may be a job for you. Thank you so much for your time and sharing with us a little bit about the program and the possibility for futures.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Welcome to Hands on Heroes. I'm here at West-MEC still, and now I'm in the advanced manufacturing. Now, advanced manufacturing, semiconductor, and places like Intel, this is where you can kind of figure out whether or not this is the type of job you'd like to learn in the future. And I'm here to talk to one of the professors here, who's also ex-Intel along with me.
Right.
Tell me who you are.
My name's Raquel Diaz, and my background, born and raised right here in Arizona, in the desert. And I'm excited to be speaking to you about this topic. And all I can say is, if you're young and you love to build or break things or problem solve, you can almost ask for any area in this area of manufacturing. I actually went to ASU, got an electrical engineering degree, which is very unusual. I know you're in construction, so here we are, women progressing in technology. And then I went to work for various companies. One of them was Intel. And I got some excellent experience in manufacturing, assembly, packaging, but most important, how everything operates inside a business and how you have to partner and how you have to communicate and how you have to learn to write and how you have to get along with people, even though you have a different opinion. So I'm excited that you're in the lab. These students here at West-MEC Northeast Campus, located near the Deer Valley Airport, get a great opportunity to learn electricity. That's our lab right now. We have some containers there to keep us safe. We have pneumatics, electronics, sensors. We call them the mini mechatronics or mini manufacturing.
Yep.
So they understand we've got to get product moved down the line. We have conveyor systems that are miniature, as well as it can detect the difference between metallic or some plastic form and go a different route. Behind me, we have hydraulics. We have, as you can see, we do our robot, and we have 3 industry robots.
Oh, interesting.
So it's these students are getting certified. They already have 5 certifications. In fact, this past week they got their OSHA 10 certification. So we have pneumatics, we have motor systems. So kids want to work on motors and gears and ratios, or electronics, or learn how to program robots. This is a great place for that. Great place for learning.
Yeah. Now, you said you came here to teach after getting your own degree. Now, this is high school that we're talking to right now. And this is an incredible time for them to really, like you said, break things and figure out if it's something that you really enjoy. And then what kind of jobs do a lot of the students go on to pursue? And do they go into the higher education after this, or do they go into internships next?
Depending on where we're at, we're in our first year. We've just been open 12 weeks.
Oh.
And so we do have seniors this year, so they'll have opportunities to go into internships. We have local companies like TSMC, Semiconductor. Yes. We have Amcor next year that's doing assembly packaging. We have Nestle. We have a lot of manufacturing facilities. So students can either, if they just want hands-on and they just want to stay busy fixing things, keeping production up and running, that would be the area of being a technician, okay? But I have students that are actually wanting to go to college and become engineers. So they can be mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, chemical engineers, material engineers. There's aerospace. I have kids interested in aerospace.
Absolutely.
And of course, construction, okay? So automotive. So I have kids that didn't make it into automotive program. I'm saying, listen, I said, we can build a car right here.
Yeah.
And, but you're going to learn all the more advanced requirements, and that is the electronics and the AI and the programming and the PLC. So just a lot of opportunities.
It sounds like you're really on the forefront of where our future is taking us.
Yes.
I mean, you said
Aerospace.
Aerospace, but that's going to be really important for us because now we're starting to see and talk about and hear about building data centers in space. So that is a very new thing that we're all talking about. Advanced manufacturing, it's not going away. It's the future. Learning the robotics and AI, it is the foundation of our future. And this is where you can figure out if this is something, or at least get your fingertips on where am I going next? And do I like this? Because if you're passionate about it, you'll be successful. So,
absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time and sharing a little bit about the program and about you. And thank you for inspiring our future generation.
Well, thank you for providing this platform. And I wish you the best of luck and can't wait for it to just spread the word. Spread the word.
We want to spread the word. Thank you. Hi, welcome to Hands-On Heroes. And today I am here at West-MEC. And we're going to learn a little bit about their education program, about becoming an electrician, and where do you start to learn to become an electrician. I have a special guest here. Tell us who you are.
My name is Jake Rook. I am the electrical teacher at West-MEC.
Excellent. And what are some of the things that they learn here in your electrical program?
Well, to start with our electrical program, they learn professionalism. They learn safety, they learn professionalism. One of the first things they get is their OSHA 10. So they're already certified with their OSHA 10 when they leave here, which is definitely a benefit when they go out into the field.
100%.
The employers out there don't have to pay for it. They don't have to pay them to go get it. So it saves people money, it saves time. And then we go through professionalism, being on time, how to work properly, how to deal with other people, how to work in teams, how to work as an individual, being a self-starter, all of those things that you need to be productive in the industry.
And successful, for sure. I mean, in the construction industry, electrical is, a lot of things can go wrong. I think safety for the very first and foremost is the most important thing. So I love that you brought that up. The professionalism, the soft skills that, you want the students to kind of come out of these programs and already have in place. He's setting a stage for you. So this is very exciting information. Okay, so tell us what happens. So we're standing here at a whiteboard. What is going on this whiteboard?
So we start every morning with daily objectives, whether they are new or congruent with the lesson that we're still currently in. We go under the KUD format, which is know, understand, and do. So what you need to know, why it's important, how to prove that you know it. We go through that with every lesson that we do. We use that out here in the lab. We use it in the classroom. So when we're out here in the lab, these are the things that we're doing in the lab, which might be different from what we're doing in the classroom. If we're right now, we're in a week of just doing OSHA. So in the classroom, we're online, we're doing OSHA, we're safety standards. In the lab, we're both doing correct wiring, making sure the circuits are safe and making sure the students are safe and they know how to wire things up, not leave loose wires all over the place, cleaning up after themselves, which is a big thing for electricians.
Yes.
If you're in the trades, the electricians are notorious for being filthy animals. So.
Well, I love that you're also teaching them good behaviors and cleanliness and keeping things tidy. It certainly helps when you have more than one trade working around you, which is just about working in that communication, working together in the same sandbox, right, on the job site. So that translates out there when they're working among other trades, connecting with them and working with them.
Right, that falls back into the professionalism part of it, being respectful of the people around you.
That's right. Thank you so much. So let's talk about some of the more specific things. So let's walk around here. So I see over here that we have a circuit lab. Can we talk a little bit about the circuit lab?
So the first part that we deal with is residential stuff. It's kind of a mess right now. We're in the process of reorganizing and cleaning up after the first quarter. The students go through 16 different types of circuits, all of the different kinds of switches, just single switches, three-way switches, four-way switches, a lot of different configurations of that. They start with their SEP, their service panel. They go through their service panel. They learn how to wire. They learn how to use their measuring tape to get the right length of wire. They're following code for box fill, wire count. And then we go through 3 different packets. They start with just an introductory, how to do things. The second packet, they're learning box fill, wire count, the different gauges of the wire. They're identifying on the blueprints what devices go where and how to route their wire.
So I see that you have the word treble up here. What does that mean?
So if one of our students wires something incorrectly, different lights come on. The different lights come on because we pass all of the electricity through very high wattage light bulbs, which diverts all of that power that would normally cause an arc fault and be super dangerous.
Oh yeah, arc flashes are very common on the job site.
So anytime those lights come on, all of the students know that somebody's just burnt down somebody's house.
Oh no.
And everybody gets picked on.
Oh no.
So when they go through and we power these up, these all get full voltage
Right.
So the students are prepared for that, and they know, everybody knows if somebody did something wrong. Each one of these boards is set up with the safety. Nobody can turn anything on without the key that goes into the board. The instructor's the only one with the key, so they're safe that way.
So I start thinking about mission critical projects. And so you're talking about, short circuiting something in a house, but when you short circuit something in a mission critical facility, we're talking about shutting down cities, towns, AI, access to your bank accounts and so forth, being able to stream your video or play a video game. Gosh, that would be terrible,
Watch
right?
a podcast.
You watch a podcast, that's right. And so we don't want any of those things happening. And so I love that you're teaching them, hey, this is what happens when trouble comes into play. So as we move down here, the electrical lab over here, we've moved from circuit lab to electrical lab. Now, what changes in this lab?
It's just, so all of the boards are all basically the same. The difference is the complexity of what we're wiring up, how we're wiring it up. If you were to look at the different lab packets that are set up on the walls, the first set have all of the components, all of the path for the wire. It shows you how it is. It shows you what order they go in. As we get further in, the wiring configurations aren't there. You just have a list of the components, devices that you're going to wire in. So you need to be able to differentiate between the switches, where they go, what boxes they're going to need to go in, what they're powering. So it just gets more complex as we move in, and eventually they get nothing except instructions. Customer wants 3-way switches to operate one thing or another, and then they have to draw it out themselves, wire it up themselves, and they get graded on 10 different things. Housekeeping is one of them. Professionalism, safety with their tools, how they're using their tools properly, the correct box layout, correct wire choices, measurements, things like that.
Okay, and so once they've gone through all of that, also following the instructions and fulfilling the wiring per code.
Yes.
Yeah, and make sure none of those trouble lights come on.
Yes, so they all get a code book. They pay for a code book that they get to keep. They get the most updated code book every 3 years, whenever they update. So they get to keep that, take it with them. They have already highlighted or tabbed in that code book everything that they were taught here, which is going to be the basic code that you're going to use when you get out of here. We go from, this technically would be mostly residential stuff. A lot of commercial stuff is the same as residential. They just change what they call the devices.
Oh, wow.
So then once they get good with that, we do some three-phase stuff, motors, motor starters, things like that. They get through that. We've got lighting over here, commercial lighting, so exit signs, emergency lighting, smoke detectors. We go through basically everything to give them a good solid foundation to learn from when they get out of here, and they either go directly to work or go directly to work in a apprenticeship program. We have a lot of companies that have apprenticeship programs that hire our students directly from our programs.
Yeah. So they're going, really, this is a program they start while in high school.
Yes, juniors and seniors.
Fantastic. And then from here, they can go into their apprentice program, already have the ABCs complete, maybe even making words and sentences out of what they've taught. Now they can start kind of putting it into practice from the apprenticeship program.
Some of our partners will take their school year here as their year one in their apprenticeship program.
Okay.
So they're actually starting the apprenticeship program in year 2. So by the time they're 21, 22 years old, they've graduated their apprenticeship program and they're journeymen.
Wow, that is fantastic. So you're saying we can fast track them into those programs by starting them here in high school is what I would say. That's fantastic.
I've got students that have graduated here, finished their apprenticeship program, and then moved out of mom and dad's house into their first home that they bought themselves.
I can't tell you how many times I've run into people, students who are trying to figure out what they want to do when they grow up. And I ask them if they ever thought about the trades. And they're like, yeah, I'll probably go to college. And I ask them, hey, do you even know what you're going to major in? Oh, I'll figure it out.
And I tell them that story. I tell them how I went through college and I watched those folks flounder around, drop out, no degree, no job, no degree, no job, and in debt for that matter.
Yeah.
Right. And now here they are getting paid to learn on the job through an apprenticeship. And by the time they're done, they're buying their own houses when I'm just now paying off debt and starting a job.
Yeah.
And I just think it's such a beautiful thing. I think the trades are a lot more glamorous than we give them credit for. And I think it's beautiful. So
They're usually not talked about in homes unless something's broken.
unless something's broken and then you need one.
Me working in the industry, going to people's homes and doing work for them, you can tell which of their children are going to want to do something like that. You show up and you do work, and you've got a child that's just sitting playing video games, and then his brother or sister's following you around to see what you're doing.
Yeah.
So you know who's going to do what when.
Well, that's really interesting point and a great segue. Who do you typically see? What are some of those things that if someone's sitting there wondering, I don't know, maybe that sounds interesting to me. How would I know if I was going to be good at this or I really like it and I could be passionate about a career in this? What are some of those things that most folks have? They like to work with their hands. What are some of those things that typically stand out?
Not necessarily. I've had so I've taught adult programs too.
Okay.
And I've had people that have come from other industry and never touched a tool.
Right.
And they're just trying something new and they figure out they really like this.
Right.
And then I've got students that come here that really think they want to do this and then change programs and go from this to pharmacy.
Oh, interesting.
So this is a really good place for young students to come in and see if they want to do this. So I've got, because I teach the HVAC program too, I've got students that'll go from HVAC to electrical or vice versa. But then I've got students that'll go from one of those programs into coding or pharmacy or veterinary. They want to see what they're doing. And this is the best place to do it because they're not losing a job or their house to figure out something new.
And that's really interesting. What I love what you said is it's not only does this program have options for you to learn more about the trades, but it's also giving you insights to multiple different tech backgrounds that enable you to try out many things before you spend a lot of time and a lot of money and really a lot of your career in the wrong place where you're not passionate. And I've always been a big believer, if you're passionate about it, you'll be successful. So thank you so much.
We also do dual enrollment in a lot of our programs.
Oh,
so
that's very
if you
interesting.
still want to do college after you do something like this,
Sure.
then you have that option.
Absolutely. I mean, I have seen folks talk about how they've started off in the trades and then they're like, hey, I want to move up into more of a management role. They'll either go get a PMI certification or they'll go do a construction management. They know that this is what they want to do. And so they kind of build those bridges and connect. But it's what a great way to already learn something, already be able to make money while you're going to college. Most students going to college don't even have that. So now you have some basic skills to get you started.
A lot of these companies will pay for the college too. They do tuition reimbursement.
Yes, they will.
I had all of my college paid for. It cost me $800 to get an engineering degree because the company I work for paid for everything but the books.
That is amazing. So you just got to get smart about it. The education is for everyone. And I've always been a true believer that however you end up in your career, or end up in the trades, or maybe you do go to college, honestly, it's the one thing no one can ever take away from you, is that education. So thank you so much for taking the time to share with me the programs and the things they learn and how you're really setting the future up for success. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hi, welcome to another section of the Hands-On Heroes, and I'm very excited to introduce another program inside of West-MEC. This is our construction program, and I'd like to introduce to you one of the professors here. What is your name?
Robert Wellman, Mr. Wellman.
Mr. Wellman. And Mr. Wellman, tell us, how long have you been in construction?
Just going over 30 years, quite a bit of time now.
Yeah, a little over 30 years, okay. And what got you into construction?
I was a bartender and I found out I could make more money learning how to be a carpenter.
So you found out, sounds like someone took you under their wing and introduced you to the trades.
Absolutely.
Okay, and so you found that wasn't an early exposure thing, it was along the path of your career
Yes.
Okay, that's very interesting. And when you got in there and you started working in construction, you stayed. 30 years later, here you are. What brought you here to start teaching it?
The literal one thing that made me want to be a part of this program and do what we're doing is we have a shortage of tradesmen in the field. We're all aware of this. I wanted to be a part of the solution and help out with my years of knowledge.
And that's 100%. And that's why we have Hands-On Heroes. We want to highlight the fact that it is a trade crisis right now. And that's why I'm here to try to bring to the audience, where can we get this education so we can guide the future generation? And West-MEC is one place, and maybe you have some place in your local neighborhood as well that's similar. So tell us a little bit about the program for construction here at West-MEC.
For general construction, we cover quite a few trades. Basically anything you're going to find in the architectural prints, structural, carpentry, masonry, plumbing, light electrical, although we do have specialized electrical and HVAC programs here that really focus on the technicals of the job. We do cover the basics in my program. Anything regarding vertical construction.
That's fantastic. Now tell us about this mini house here. What is going on? Was this built 100% by students?
Yes.
Oh, amazing.
Absolutely.
So tell us what they're learning here.
Well, the project just started off as singular module experiments, but as we kept progressing, we took it and turned it into an actual tiny home build to really give them a general knowledge of how everything ties together, how everything works, and what better to show them than actually build the building, not just little parts of it, construct the whole.
Oh, that's incredible. Now I see you have, your headers going on. The doors, you have both windows all framed out, got sheathing on here.
Yes.
I even saw a little bit, is this, oh no, I thought this was insulation.
Oh no.
So will you actually put insulation on here?
We hadn't gotten that far ahead, but I could see it actually happening. It depends on when our actual home, because we will be making a full-size home, where we are at production, but at some point we will be doing insulation.
Well, I also see the trusses inside, no doubt. You have a roof on here, and the shingles are already on. So they're learning flashing and roofing here as well. So not just the carpentry. That's fantastic. Now, what about the foundation? Will they do concrete and foundation as part of this?
On our actual home build, we'll be doing a CMU stem wall, but they'll have concrete module mini models they can work on, but this will be considered our concrete engineered floor.
Okay.
Building off of that.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. So they get a little bit of masonry with the stem wall. They get a little bit of the concrete.
Yeah.
And then from this program, what do you see students going into as a job? Next steps? What are their next steps? Because you're capturing them at high school, right?
Yes.
Okay.
After West-MEC, they have opportunities for apprenticeships, multiple companies, direct hiring in at apprentice levels, literally furthering their education. Maybe they want to go into college, they want to get an associate's, they want to acquire a bachelor's, whatever. This certification and the training they will get for this not only will teach them a basic understanding of the job, the ability how to manipulate, how to use the tools. Safety is a very big part of what we do here, but they will have so much information and certification ahead of the general public that the benefits are just off the charts. Accompanied with professional training, learning how to interview, learning how to conduct yourself in the workplace, learning how to excel and advance in your respective careers.
That's very interesting. Now, you mentioned safety in construction. It's number one.
Yes.
Do they leave with any OSHA under their belt?
OSHA 10 basic certification, but they can continue it. They do not need to wait on us to continue their OSHA training. I've even suggested to some of my students that safety is an industry as well, inspection and or even as management, you have to be a part of that. You have to have a very broad understanding of it.
Safety is not a job, it's everybody's job,
Yes.
right? That's right. And so thank you so much for taking this time and sharing with us a little bit about the program, what they learn. When they leave here, it sounds like you have some partnerships with internships and apprenticeships that they can go on and do. What are some of the programs when they get in here? Do you see them switching out of this program, or people in other programs switching into this program?
Yeah, if they decide that they want to lean into something else, or maybe they've taken a shift or shown more interest, we allow for that flexibility. They are able to accommodate. We can accommodate within reason as long as they're not switching it up halfway through the year.
Sure.
But if they do make that change or that transition, whatever it is, we as instructors communicate with each other too to help each other out on that.
Now, from experience, I know that, the construction workers, they make really good money. And unlike me, who I went through a college program, I ended up with quite a bit of debt. And so coming out of a program like this that you can get during high school, just to test it out and see if it's something you want to do, getting your hands a little dirty, I think will set you up for success, even if you go on to college and become a manager. Now you know what it takes to manage those trades. So thank you again for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to Hands on Heroes. We are exploring the education and the opportunities that are out there to get into construction and high-tech jobs and careers. And I'm here at Mesa Community College with one of the instructors. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us what type of program is here and kind of break that down for us.
Okay. I'm Ken Hackler with Mesa Community College, which is part of the Maricopa Community College District. We have 10 colleges. 2 of the colleges, ourselves and Estrella, which is on the west side, offer this automated industrial technology / AIT for short. What we were funded to do is train technicians for any type of industrial environment. It's funny, I'll ask people, you think it's hard to hire an engineer or a technician? People go engineers. There's 1,000 colleges putting out engineers. There's 2 colleges in the state of Arizona, 2 colleges in Maricopa County, and a few other, and about 6 across the state that do any type of a similar program.
Interesting.
We offer certificates, and all these certificates build up into an associate's degree, which is an AAS in automated industrial technology. Our core program has 11 classes. And then if somebody's going for the associates, they need to take a few other classes that are similar associated to it, and they're called restrictive electives. So over the years, after developing this core program, we also had some add-on classes and add-on certificates. We have a robotics certificate. We also have a soldering certificate for a standard, a cable harness, like if somebody's going to work at Boeing on the Apache helicopter, and a semiconductor quick start program. So our most recent one is actually data center operations, and we've had it in place for about 1.5 years. And what's really cool about this AIT program is that we've been able to leverage it for different areas. So what we actually did is we took 6 of our existing 11 classes and developed 2 new classes for the data center operations. So it's a great program overall. We're trying to fill a need. Since I've been here, I've probably been part of about a dozen due diligence processes where companies are coming from other states and interviewing us and other companies and other counties and states to make a decision they're going to come here. And one of their check marks, of course, they talk to the county. They want free money and yada, but they want to make sure that, hey, is there going to be a pipeline for students and employees to actually fix all this equipment? Because there's a lot of automated equipment. It doesn't matter if you're, making a car, you're making a battery, or you're, backing up all the information and having all of our stuff in our data center.
That's right. That's right. I think that's really interesting how you all have evolved. And I've heard time and time again, Arizona really does set the example. And more specifically, the colleges that I've been visiting and interviewing and meeting some of the students, it's really starting to stand out as clearly an opportunity where they can come in. Maybe a 4-year college isn't for them. They're more of a hands-on learner, and they want to come in here and go right into a job after the associates. Can you break down those 6 classes and what do they learn in each one?
And we have 11 classes for the bigger program, and then we have 6 plus 2 new ones for the data center operations. So we are hands-on primarily, but you still have to learn some theory.
Okay. Yes.
So if you're going to work on a mechanical system and you need to replace a motor, you need to maybe make a modification, you have to understand what are a gear ratio, what is this? If you're going to troubleshoot something and it's electrical, you still got to learn that base theory. We're not going to a theory level of like an engineering where you get no hands-on, right? So our program, same as at Estrella here in the Maricopa County, is that we try to, when we come in our classes, we have about maybe 45 minutes of lecture, then it's up to 3 hours of hands-on.
Wow.
So it is a lot of hands-on, which is important, right?
Yes.
So we treat these programs almost more like adult education. It is a college. You do get a grade. You have to do the work. But we always, when I first did training years ago when I worked at Boeing, is I went to a little class and it says, tell them what you're going to teach them what you taught them. Your labs and your tests should be when you taught them. This is not a trick thing. We're not trying to trick anybody.
Right.
We want people to be successful. So we go through mechanical. We learn about hand tools. We learn about how to pull a machine apart. We learn how to read blueprints. We learn what's called predictive preventive maintenance. How do we keep things breaking before they break on us?
Right.
We got our mechanical class where you learn how all the different components, how would you connect up? We have these $5,000 laser alignment tools.
Wow.
They're just like an industry that you learn how to utilize. And in an electrical field, you're learning everything from the base to what's called relay control. It'll take too long to get into all that is, but that's how everything works.
Right.
And then we actually wire a panel in our first semester. And what a panel is where all the electrical devices are at to be able to run a motor, to be able to run different type of things. And then you learn about what's called three-phase, because everything in a plant is higher voltage. It's not like what your lights are on. And then we get into the a little bit more of a power system, because when power comes into the facility, how do I use it? I run a server if I'm in a data center, I'm going to run the lights and stuff like that. But we have a class that we developed for the data center called it's power distribution.
Right.
We also created an intro to data center where students get to go to data centers and do site visits and learn all about it. But so we had developed a new class for this data center operations. It's an awesome class because I have a lot of students that want it that may or may not be going into data centers because it's how the power comes in.
That's right.
And then we also we have a class on an industrial controller called a programmable logic controller. So if you ever watch anything on Discovery Channel, how it's made, and you see things making candy bars and stuff like that, that's the computer that's running all that stuff.
Amazing. That's incredible. So what type of roles and jobs do most of the students exit from that program?
The data center operations or the overall?
Well, I mean, there's an umbrella.
There's an umbrella, right?
Right. And under that umbrella, we have data centers, manufacturing.
Correct.
Kind of we're breaking that down for us. And in here, you're really exploring what's possible. Maybe you don't go into the data center, but you're still learning those needs and those classes that are associated because they're transferable.
Yes, they are. So I always say it's the 70, 30, 80, 20 rule.
Yeah.
Is when I was an automation engineer and I would go out to different job sites, people would say, how do you know how to work on this? I go, I don't know this specific piece of equipment, but I understand everything that's made up in it. Right. And that's what we're trying to do this program. We're doing a horizontal training to take all the workload off the employers to have to train them 100%. And then to help people who have never worked in anything like this learn and go in and feel confident, and they know they can be successful. So the type of roles, we're really either going to work on equipment that is going to be manufacturing, or we're going to be more what's called facilities or operations. And that's in a data center. That would be taking all of that power distribution, the backup generators, the backup power, the UPSs, the fire alarm system, stuff like that. If you're at a semiconductor plant, facilities could be all that too, plus it may be a water treatment, because now there's a big thing about, keeping your own water. They treat their own water. They do that stuff like that.
And recycling.
And recycling, all those types of things. So and they're all technician roles.
Yeah.
And we need more technicians because of the fact that that's what keeps everything running.
Right. I mean, we can't build it fast enough, but once we do, we need someone flipping the switches and maintaining it and upgrading it and managing the technology around it.
And one of the coolest things about this program is the primary thing we're trying to get out of the end of it is the ability to troubleshoot and understand what's wrong to be able to get it back up running more quickly.
Right.
If you can troubleshoot and help get facilities and equipment back running, you will always have a job, because that's the key thing. The theory, the hands-on, the labs, everything we do is all about that thing right there.
Right. And now when they finish the 2-year program, they can go right into this job, right into these careers, correct?
Well, we have a lot of people just doing the certificates, getting jobs.
Oh, wow. The certificate's the 6th class.
Well, we have kind of back up. We have a lot of certificates, so it gets a little confusing. So let's figure out the data center. So our core 11 classes, there are 2 certifications in that. We almost ought to make it just one.
Right.
So people get hired with that 11 core classes.
Okay, the 11 classes. Okay.
11 classes for the overall AIT program.
Okay.
You're not going to make as much money, and most of the employers are going to want you to go back, and most employers will, pay for classes and stuff like that to go back. And then we get down to our other certificates. So like this data center operations, which is 8 classes,
Okay.
6 of the core 11 plus 2 new ones.
Okay.
We work directly with 2 professional organizations, iMations and AFCOM, that support how do we get more people in the data center industry. And they are the ones that helped pick the classes we're going to have in that. And have said, if people take those 8 classes and that certificate, we will give them an opportunity for interviews where they're putting together internship programs. So you don't have to have the associate's degree. I always say, if you're living at home and you're not in a hurry to have to get to work, go ahead and do the associates. If you need income and money, do the certificates, try to get employed, and then continue on to finish the rest.
It sounds like a great plan. I mean, if you can't afford college and you don't want to walk away with it, here's a great opportunity to get paid to learn. You're learning hands-on on site,
Yep.
and you can immediately apply what you're learning in the classroom right onto the job.
Correct.
Well, I mean, with the certificate, I kind of feel like if you're not sure, the certificate allows you to dip your toe into the water,
Mhm.
test it out. Maybe that's something, and you still have time to pivot.
You do.
And kind of go back and take a few more classes and then go try something else. But when you're young, it's time to explore. But if, so many people are talking about AI taking their jobs.
They're not going to take these jobs for a long
They're
time.
not going to take these jobs for a really long time.
They're not. And it's interesting. I have one student that has a bachelor's degree in data analytics. Between outsourcing to India, Philippines, and AI, within a year after his 4-year degree, it felt like he just wasted all that time. And I feel bad for people when they invest that time to do things. But I know other people have IT degrees and stuff like that, and they're getting a lot of white collar jobs.
Mhm.
My number one, and when I talk to young people, is if you're going to go get an engineering degree,
Mhm.
make sure you're going to have some hands-on component. Because I was what's called an automation engineer. We would program the system, but I still went out to the plant and we had to what's called commissioning and starting up to make everything work.
Right.
And then I did service calls, and then I would work and do training classes with people to help them understand their systems. But if you're just sitting in a room where you don't have hands-on and you're not interfacing with people, that can be AI'd or outsourced. So we have a renaissance, I guess. And I don't know. I don't necessarily call this program blue collar because of the
Right.
fact that technology around it, but it's not a white collar position. So I always tell people, if you like technology but you still want to be hands on,
Yeah.
this is a great deal because so some of the equipment you work on may not be high tech if I'm changing a gearbox out or a motor.
Right.
But what that is running, what it is making, what is it doing for the world, automation. I've been working on automation for close to 40 years. It's not something new. A lot of people just haven't heard about it.
That's right. Automation was in my program 25 years ago as well.
Exactly. So, and because of, we lost a lot of jobs, 30, 40 years ago because of all the assembly jobs that went to less expensive countries. Those countries are now automated and they are less competitive because of the fact that the cheap labor component has gone away. And we've been onshoring many, many, many jobs, right? And one of the things like food and beverage, where we have snacks and food like that stuff doesn't get made over in Far East Asia and sent over here. It goes bad, right? So
Right.
there's still a huge amount of that going on here. And here in Phoenix, we're quickly becoming the second largest data center concentration in the country. A lot of people don't realize we are a huge medical device manufacturer.
Yes.
So Dexcom, which does the monitoring of your glucose, their biggest production facility is here. We have West Pharma, we have steel mills, we have all these different companies that are moving here. And part of it is because we have put an infrastructure together, as it started about 15 years ago. The Arizona Commerce Association invested around the entire state. So it's not just us here. There's other colleges in the state that got funding to bring these programs together. So we have about $5.25 million worth of equipment here for supporting students.
Wow.
And 90% of that is all through grants.
Amazing.
Because back to back to we're talking about affordability and stuff. It costs barely $8,000 to get an associate's degree here at Mesa Community College because we're funded a lot by property tax, just like K through 12.
Oh, wow.
And then if you don't have money, FOSFA, there's all kinds of grants.
Right.
So right now, 3 of our 8 classes in the data center operations are being paid for, either through some federal grants or through some of iMasons and AFCOM and some other data center
right.
companies
That's right.
have given us money. And what's cool about it, they're not like hardcore scholarships. You don't have to fill out a form and do an essay. You just have to do the classes and successfully complete.
Right.
So there's
and
a lot.
pass, of course.
You have to pass to complete. Yep.
And so what's really interesting about that just goes to show you how badly there is a need for these jobs, for these careers. And if you're confused or you're even looking for a pivot in your career, and I've been hearing a lot of folks in their late 30s, and as their jobs are starting to be threatened, they're going back to school and they're pivoting with something as simple as a certificate.
And then even so I probably have 30 plus students that have a bachelor's degree. They're in this program.
That's amazing.
Because of the fact that they plateaued. They don't enjoy what they're doing. They're worried about AI, and so for them, they can come back and, like you say, pivot and get some certificates and may just go right on and get a job. And then it's even easier for them to get an associate's degree because they have a lot of the other stuff taken care of through their bachelor's degree process.
And it just transfers right over.
Yep.
Right. And then, you already have that on the job experience and there's a lot of skills that come. You're just coming here as a continuous growth mindset, and companies love that. They love that you're taking the initiative to go at least get the certificate, get the ABCs of all the things. They will train you the rest. Now, we walked around here and saw some of the equipment, and you were sharing how the equipment doesn't match exactly. Talk to us a little bit about that. It's not exactly what you would see in the new place, but it's the foundation of what they need.
Correct.
And then when they get into the different corporations, they teach you the more specific things. I think that's a really interesting concept because the basics, the foundation of everything is the same. And you all are really teaching that as a strong foundation.
What we're trying to do is give that 80% of the skill set that you're going to use no matter where you go.
That's right.
How do you read a print? How do you understand how a motor works? How do you troubleshoot? How do you do those type of things? Because we got $5.25 million equipment. One piece of semiconductor tool will cost $3 to $4 million for one tool. There's no way we're going to have a $4 million tool sitting here. We're going to have a distribution system like you'd have at FedEx or Amazon, and injection molding at a company that makes plastic bottles like Niagara Water. So there's no way we could have all the equipment. We don't have a steel mill where they're making angle iron or rod, rebar and stuff like that. Yeah. But all these companies come to us because of the fact that they know that they can get students that will be successful. You still have to perform just because you get it. You got to show up. You got to do a job. You got to be inquisitive. You got to try to learn all those type of things. And the other thing about this program too is you are forced to work in groups here. And we'll get conflict, and we don't just let people jump to another group, because what happens at a real job?
You don't have the option.
You don't have the option.
You got to wake up and go back to work the next day.
Or you leave and go someplace else,
and
right?
That's
not because you're going to have every company you're going to go to. No place is perfect. There's always going to be somebody you may not agree with.
Yeah. You can't pick your family, and you can't pick people you work with.
Exactly. And we have, like a part of our intro data center operations. In that class, we actually do interview prep, and we have a professional skills course that everybody goes through that is available for any Maricopa student, but we actually integrate it as a part of that class, because a lot of feedback we get from employers is, they come in and they're not prepared for the interview process. They don't understand what's going to be like to work in an area with multiple type of personalities and diversities. And so that's another key thing that, we try to do overall in the community college system is, try to prepare people for that work environment.
Right. It's because they're expecting to interview people who are ready to be professional. And so interviewing skills, soft skills, communication skills, right? Just once you get in there, how do you have difficult conversations and work through conflict? And, how do you ask good questions and stay curious? And and time management and all those things that you really foundationally learn here. If you haven't been taught it by your parents by now and drilled into you, I know some people
I know.
have really great parents who can really guide them on that, but not everybody does, right? And so sometimes you get here and you're just like, I don't know what to expect when I get into the real world. I mean, you all have really thought about the end-to-end perspective of a human being, because at the end of the day, they're humans, and sometimes not everybody comes from the same place. And so here you're not just training them to be skilled workers, or you're actually sending them into careers. You're giving them the skills technically and the soft skills to be successful in any environment.
And you can have the the best technical skills, and if you can't get along with people,
That's right.
it's
Or communicate, right?
communicate. Yeah. And so the other thing we do in our program too is we don't have paper. So when you work in an industrial environment, everything's online now. They don't print out manuals and everything like that. So it's
a long time ago.
yeah, well, it's a shock to some students who come in because we have people that be maybe closer to my age that have always done paper. I never did. I traveled years for work, so you can't carry a stack of paper with you, right?
Yeah.
So it's a shock. Where's the labs at? It's all online,
Right,
because that's what you're going to deal with. If you're working with a maintenance system where you're doing a maintenance ticket and stuff like that, you have to go in and fill it out and do documentation of what the issue was. So because all these systems want to figure out how do we fix it faster and having historical information. And that's one of the things in this class here, even though we're learning hand tools and we learn power tools, and we actually learn about overhead cranes, is you learn what is called predictive preventive maintenance. You learn how to do job tickets, that base thing you would do in any maintenance environment, whether you're on the equipment or the facility / operation side.
Yeah, and that's standard pretty much anywhere you would go. is
Anywhere
you'd have
you
to
go.
do a ticket, whether it's a problem with your computer down to the machinery.
Yep.
So I love that. Well, this has been an amazing conversation. You've really given us some really great insights to the program, what you can walk away, what you can expect, where you can go after the program, what success looks like when you're inside. And I really appreciate your time. Any last thoughts or ideas that you would share for someone who's considering a career pivot or entering into the program?
Come and see us. And what's great about us and Australia both, we have what are dedicated career advisors here at Mesa. We call it a navigator.
Yeah.
And so they are working with the programs in here versus just the general advisor you'd go over there that doesn't really have a lot of knowledge. So we've got our navigators. They say they take it from helping them coming in the door till the time they leave and hopefully get a job. So they can do tours. You can come see some of the equipment. I know we got some in the background here, but we have a lot of cool stuff here. So we have $750,000 just in robots.
Oh,
so we have
amazing.
2 different robot platforms, and they're real robots that are used in industry. They're not some made up Tinker Toy type thing, which is funny. I take one of them to high schools, and they're like, "Oh, is this thing joust to throw a basketball?" I go, "No, it's kind of boring. It just makes stuff over and over and over again."
Yeah.
But if that thing breaks, it needs to be fixed.
That's
and
right.
that's a great career.
That's
So come and see us.
Yeah, come see. Ken's willing to give you a tour, or someone here will give you a tour, and we really appreciate time. Thanks, Ken. Appreciate it. Welcome to Hands On Heroes. We're here with Jesse, and we're going to talk a little bit about the education that folks can get to actually enter into the field of data centers. Jesse, thanks so much for joining me. Tell us a little bit about your story. What were you dreaming about when you wanted to be when you grew up? I mean, was it data centers?
No, I didn't even know about data centers till relatively recently in my life, actually. So when I was in high school and growing up, my ultimate goal was I was going to be a high school physics teacher for a couple different reasons. One, I loved physics. And the other thing was I wanted to be a football coach. So had to be a teacher, going to be a coach, did all that, joined the Navy. In the Navy, they had the sailor to teacher program back then. So I thought about doing that, but I also went on recruiting duty. While I was on recruiting duty, I dealt with a lot of high school kids and their parents. And that helped me determine I never wanted to work in high schools or work with really the kids' parents, not the kids themselves. So changed my idea. Went into nuclear power, worked in that for a couple of years, and it was kind of stagnant in the United States. I started looking at other technical fields that people with my background go into, and I started seeing these things called data centers. Had no idea what they were, but I knew it was very technical, and it was something I could make a career in. So I made the jump from nuclear power into data centers. Started with a company up in Minnesota, and it brought me down here to Arizona, and I've loved it so much that as soon as I could, I got into workforce development, helping to bring other people into the industry.
That is absolutely incredible. So we're here at Estrella, and this community college, this is a junior college, and they have a program for entering into data centers. Tell us a little bit about the program, how it come to, why did it come to be? Like, why is it here, and why was it developed? Tell us a little bit of how that came to be.
So a very similar program to this started in Nova, out in Virginia. Okay. When I first came down here, we didn't have any program. We didn't have an intern committee. We really had nothing. Working with Ryan over with AFCOM, we started the intern committee. And that was really just finding students that wanted to get into the industry and finding end users for them to go intern with in the summer. And that's where it started. But then through my work, I worked with a guy named TJ Saccone, who worked in Virginia, helped build the program out in Nova. And then I saw their program and the success that they had. And to me, that was really the linchpin to everything they were doing for workforce development out in Virginia, was the community college program. Because that opened up people's eyes, that made people aware, and it brought the people into the industry. So myself and a couple other people started talking to Maricopa Community College and saying, hey, here's a program. We'd really like to bring it here. And we did. So it took a little while, but we were able to bring in the program, and yeah.
That is amazing. Now tell us what you're doing today.
Today we teach the course. It's in 2 locations at Estrella Community College and Mesa Community College. One night a week. So this is all part of the AIT course. What's the name of it? It's the Data Center Technician Certificate. So if they go through, they get I think it's 8 or 9 classes, then they can come out on the other side with the Data Center Technician Certificate. Perfect. Or they could do a full 2-year program, and that'll lead into an associate's degree, also here at through Maricopa Community Colleges.
That is incredible. Now, if you're listening in and this is starting to sound really intriguing and something that maybe you haven't looked into and didn't know anything about, and you've just Googled it and you're like, wow, that sounds like a career I want to get into, I will have all of the information and links in the show notes. So Jesse, thank you. That is really incredible. What else would you add to this?
The AIT program isn't just for data centers. So even if they're interested in technical courses or getting that, start in any of them, and that'll help you kind of determine the path that you want. That's what the Intro to Data Center course that we teach here is so people can really understand what data centers are about and see if that's something that's interesting for them. But they also have the other programs. If data center is not your thing, there's some other good technical programs.
So this is a really great spot to get your feet wet and start exploring for sure. So once folks graduate from this program, what type of roles or careers do they transition into?
So this is data center technicians. So this is an opportunity to really get your foot in the door with operations at data centers. So that's really what this is for, is creating data center technicians.
So tell us what a data center technician is.
A jack of all trades. You're an electrician, you're a mechanic, your controls, your operations. Just being an operator is its own thing. Being able to work in mission critical is its own thing also. We talk about it a lot in data centers, especially during construction. You have to know people that have been in the industry or have been in critical or mission critical, and you have to know the people that aren't, because you have to watch them a little bit differently, because they may not have the same mindset that people with the critical operations background. And that's actually one of the things I really liked about this program itself, is the Intro to Data Centers. We're actually trying to teach people how to be operators. We're teaching them the basic, operator fundamentals that are important for their whole career.
That's incredible. So an operator, that is after the data center is built and is fully up and running. And that's a lot of pressure. I mean, but going from nuclear, and I can see why a lot of nuclear folks transition into this world, because you have to be
pretty on top of all of the alerts and all of the alarms that go off, because there's no time can a data center be down, correct? Why is that so important?
Well, if it goes down, I mean, depending on who the customer is, that's data. I mean, if let's say it's a bank, now people don't have access to their accounts, they don't have access to their money. Us being down for a day, that's millions of dollars for our customers, for ourselves, because we have, you know, SLAs that go against that. So, but you asked what operators, you know, it is a big thing because we're responsible for making sure that the computers get all the cooling and all the electricity that they need in order to continue to operate. But that's the cool thing about our job is every day is not crazy, but we get paid for when the emergencies happen. When everything goes bad, that's where we can come in and troubleshoot, fix it, get everything back up. And that's really what we get paid for.
That's incredible. How do you know, what kind of skills do you have that makes you kind of think, wow, I might be good at this?
If you are curious, if you like technical type of jobs, it's kind of a hard question because data centers are so broad. Not everything that we do is technical. You know, I'm in safety myself, so I came from operations, but you know, safety is a completely different ball of wax. We have accountants, we have marketing. I'll say that this is just such a great industry to get into, whether you like the technical or not. Get in and then find where you want to go. We just had a young lady join our company a couple of years ago from our ACOP program, which is where we bring in people with really no background. And she had a software background. She only looked at our company for an intern with us because it had software or computer, had something in the name. And she's like, well, I want to try that. She came in, had no idea what we did, what it was, got in the program as a COT. She graduated, got into the COT position, but she's actually developing software for the company for us to go do rounds or for us to go do logs and stuff. She's developing that. So we're going to actually she's going to create her own position within the company because of what she's doing and how well she's doing it.
That's incredible. So there's a lot of avenues into the program, a lot of different roles to play for sure. And just about every skill can really find their home in this space. There's a huge demand right now as well. And we don't have enough people to fill all of those seats. And data centers have been so secret for so long, but if you've ever heard of the cloud, that's a data center. And darn, I mean, I'd hate to not be able to stream my favorite video on the weekend or not get, and not all the spinning, yes, or store my photos of my family. That would be the lack of data center space. So we've got to keep building them, and they're definitely a part of our future for sure.
That's right.
Any last words for anybody maybe considering this as a career?
Definitely take a look, talk to people, ask some questions, reach out. We have a lot of events here at Estrella Mountain in February. We'll be doing a data center day. Mesa will be doing it. We do a ton of events going around just trying to let people know what we do. So I'd say talk to somebody, ask, check it out. It's a great industry to get into.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Jesse.
Of course.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to transition a little bit because Jesse here cannot teach this program alone. We have Jim who also comes in to teach. So thank you so much, Jesse. We'll switch here. and come on in. And so you're here full time. You're here every day they have the class to teach this program. Tell us a little bit about your human story. What were you dreaming about before you entered into this data space? Or maybe you've always been dreaming about a technical job.
Well, close. So as a high school student, I had interest in mathematics and physics. And from that, I really wanted to get into trades as an electrician. And so from that, I went into apprenticeship and worked as an electrician. And from that, some of the work that I had done was inside data centers and different types of industrial environments. And from that, that's where my introduction is. I'm like, okay, so I see. And through going around talking with different people in the industry, I was invited in and started working about year 2000, started with American Express at their data center. And from that, I just fell in love for what it is because, as we were pointing out, there's so much that you can be a part of. I like the operations end of it. And so when you're talking about the responsibility and accountability, when you go through and you're operating your equipment, as Jesse had mentioned earlier about possibilities of millions of dollars on the line, it can go up to billions. And so for what's recent today, it's been in the headline news for different environments that even on the operations end, people kept the buildings where it needed to be, and it became a technical issue. And so there's quite a bit that can go on. And so as a lover of sports and whatnot, and I enjoyed my football days, while having those large teams, 11 on 11, not everybody gets their assignments right and things go on. Part of the challenge. And that's somewhat the same in this business. And so from that, I've continued to grow. I just really just happy in operations. But over time, you know what? Hey, I would like to do something different. And as it turned out, I got an opportunity to go into data center coordination. And so from that role, I was into labor reports, into staffing, into what we were, how it was ran. So from the time that I spent on one side of the house, if you will, making sure equipment was up and running, I got to transition into the admin side of the house. We're supporting management for what was there, what they're looking at, and the goals that they had, putting it into what it would look like, not just documentation, but also, hey, this is what we're doing. So it was really great stuff at that level. From that, I got into finance. And so, yeah, a guy that was a tradesman, turned out as a, journeyman wireman, this, that, and the other, made his way all the way up into finance and really enjoying at that level. Because again, from the operations end, when you start talking about, yes, we need about $25,000 to go and for additional training here. We want to get into thermography here. We want these things. That's all a cost. It needs to be tracked, trended, expectations met. And so from that, I got to be in that level of having those discussions, ensuring that the crews did get what they needed, as well as that the bills were paid. And it's just a different aspect of what you can do in a data center.
So, I mean, that's just a perfect example, kind of like what Jesse was saying. There's so many avenues into this industry, right? And if you're ready for a pivot, this is a great transferable skill that it's hard to not find a home within the data center space for sure. So tell us a little bit from your perspective about the program and really what do some of the students walk away with in this program?
Well, what we want is that introduction to the technical. So when you look at it, and we are bringing in individuals that have a really great background, and it can be so many things because, again, a data center, you can't really arrive with knowing everything because each site's a little bit different. And so there's a learning curve. And so we get to practice that in class, ask the questions, hey, I saw, I heard, I thought, and be able to bring that here where we can have those questions. And you're allowed to be wrong and understand, and grow. We have that research, we have that background, and be in this space so that way when you do make it on a job site, when you make it into that data center or any mission critical type of environment, you already have that background. You're used to the place of asking questions and being in a space where you're open and receptive to, okay, this is how it's done here, no problem. So it's a opportunity. One of the favorite things that I do like to share, where we talk a little colloquialism of you cry in a dojo and you laugh in a battlefield. And so this is the space to come in and crunch numbers and get into what this is. And well, I have an electrician background. What is this, cycle for refrigeration? Why is that important? Why do I need to know? That's ask those questions here, as opposed to when you get on a job site, may not go over very well. And so what you get here when you leave as a student is that introduction and that space of, hey, I've got to really get a background and then a better general understanding for where we got started, because there's so much more to learn.
Yeah, it's just the ABCs, right? And then they learn how to make those words and sentences on the job. But, it is a critical space and downtime is not an option. So, and they're on the forefront of that every day. And I think that's amazing. So tell us, beyond the technical side, I understand that the students leave with a lot more than just a technical side. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we want to talk about soft skills. And so it's one thing that coming in from the trades and we know what we're doing and we're going to put this here and there and whatnot. This is a close quarters group. And you are talking about a crew, can be anywhere between 3 to 7 people. And you work with each other day in, day out, up to 12-hour shifts, if not longer, depending on what may be needed of you. So from that, there are those soft skills that come in of understanding, like we said, how to ask those questions, be receptive, like, okay, one of the assignments to create a method or procedure. Well, in that, of course you did it right. You hand it to someone else, like, oh, now we're going to have to do some adjustments. To be in that space of understanding, you know what, that's okay. We're going to add that. We're going to have so many people look at this and touch it and bring it back to you that no problem. And you get that space of understanding, hey, this is how we work as a team. We collaborate, we build, and you know what, that's a good thing.
That is incredible. So now you've been in this classroom instructing, you've watched students go on to bigger things. Tell us about some of those roles they've ended up in.
From when you get into your operations aspect, there are purchasing. You can get into those, like I said, the admin side of the house. We do have it where, you know what, you want to be in the construction or commissioning side. Why? Because you saw what's going on at this level and you go, you know what, I can help out over here with ensuring that the equipment turned over is done correctly, as opposed to when you get a hold of it and you're like, hey, this is supposed to work a certain way. And well, sometimes they don't, you know, that's the nature of the game. And so you have commissioning, you have design engineering, all of these things to grow into, as well as people management. And so we get into so many folks that I've worked with that had opportunities to get into the people management side. That is a lot of work. That is a lot of phone calls and a lot of accountability at that level. Then, like I said, you want a design engineer, still incredible amount of responsibility, slightly different understanding of what the workload is, different work levels. Really, it just gets to a point, as Jesse brought up earlier, that he did have a young woman that is creating her own position. I've seen that with the site at Microsoft where we required a program manager that all that task, that entire encompassing task was making sure that any procedure that was built met criteria, filed correctly, all of the additional information for any tracking numbers or anything that goes with it, making sure that they're current and updated, as well as whatever rewrites or every year they need to be touched or looked at of saying, okay, it's still current and get to date. Who knew you could make a very good living with all of your benefits and you're just, well, let me see what everybody else did. You know, okay, yeah, this works. So you know what, that didn't meet criteria. Either it's a quick fix for formatting, or you know what, this needs to go into someone to completely redo what was going on.
Sounds like quality control.
Very much so. Great aspect at that level from the construction side of the house where you want to grow. But again, when we're coming in, you hear data center, we need the operators. And it's a great place to be. The workload, you know what, it's, let's see, push button for breakers. You might have to, you know, operate a lever so that way you can get it energized for the closures. Understanding how just from one side of the site to the other, how it all flows. It becomes almost a living thing in that respect. And then you learn how your building will actually talk to you with the weather, any load changes, things of that nature. And there's a not so much precision, but a mastery that comes from that. And so that's part of the joy that I've seen, not just for myself, but others, that you sit there and you look at the weather charts and you see what's going on and you're like, all right, about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we'll be running generators. Let's go ahead because the monsoon's out here in the environment. No problem. We're going to make sure the workload is adjusted properly, put it all together. There we go. About that 3:30 in the afternoon, here comes the rains. We're already set and ready to go. That's a really incredible place to be, knowing you've achieved that mastery.
I think this is a really lovely story. I mean, between you, Jim, and Jesse, you really kind of shared with us quite a few roles inside data centers and how that, I think because data centers have evolved so much, and especially with the age of AI, it's constantly changing. And what I'm hearing you say is just more tracking of the data so that there's this continuous improvement happening. And the experts out there constantly watching that continuous improvement and making those tweaks and making sure they're checking those quality controls, making sure that the life cycle cost associated with the data center is optimized and so on. So I think that this is a really incredible career, and the folks who are sitting in this room taking this program really have a lot of positive to look forward to and thrive in their future.
Absolutely. It does become what you make of it. And so if you want to take a long time to do something, I spent over 20 years in operations itself because I really enjoyed that level of work. I've enjoyed what it took to run the building, work on the crews, seeing that mastery. There are others that are 2-3 years and they just grow in a whole other direction. More power to them. But my heart does lay in operations from that perspective because we're the ones that make sure the entire site is meeting all criteria. We're meeting our SLAs, our 5 nines. So if you're familiar with the 99.999% of uptime, that's mere seconds in a year. And yes, different data centers have different tier levels and this, that, and the other, but ultimately we want 100% uptime for our clients and customers as well.
Right. So, and for folks who aren't familiar with the data center, uptime is how long that it has to stay up and running, and seconds meaning how many seconds. We're talking millions and millions of dollars that go out the window for every second a data center goes down. So it's very, very critical space, and that's why we call it mission critical, right?
Very much so.
Any last words for anybody considering transitioning or continuing or going into education in this field?
Well, it's a great place to get started. As once upon a time, I had an instructor point out, aim for the moon, and if you miss, you land among the stars. And so that's very much what we're looking at when we're talking about data centers, whether they're just a complete straight data center themselves, or there are companies like American Express that did have their own data center. There's or even smaller data centers within different buildings, such as banks and whatnot. You might be a roving operator. You might be someone that's on the site. There's all sorts of incredible things to do. And we've seen here recently the advent of remote work. So there you very well may be sitting on one site, you're looking what you're doing here, but you know what, you dial into another, see what those reports are doing, what your alarms are doing, is the equipment operating correctly? There's an incredible breadth of really, what do you want to do? And as you're pointing out, we got to get the word out. The work's here. We just want people.
Yeah, we need more people. And, like you said, there's more room for more stars in the sky, and there's a lot of space to transition and come into this space. So thank you so much for taking the time and sharing. I think I'm going to transition and hear from some of the students now who are taking this program and hear their human story, what they think about this program and where they're going next. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it. Well, welcome to Hands on Heroes. And we're transitioning right now to speak with some of the students. And the reason why is I want to capture a little bit of why they're in the program, what brought them here, what were they dreaming about being before they thought about going into mission critical work. And so we'll start off here with Thomas. Yeah. Thomas, tell us a little about yourself.
Actually, I got involved in computers in high school, but it was actually more kind of like a long distance relationship where the math instructor would allow us to talk to the computer at UCLA, and we were only allowed to have so many minutes on each class cycle so we can actually ask the computer their questions. And so we thought that was kind of cool and very interesting. I then later became involved with numerical control programming. I went to work in a machine shop, and I was programming lathes and machining cells, and I thought that that was kind of fascinating. I had an interruption in that. I joined the Army. Of course, the Army is it was an important part of my life. And then I transitioned into the National Guard, and I've just spent the last 21 years of my life associated with the Air Force Reserve. And so much of the construction projects I was involved with the Air Force Reserve was actually involved in laying cables and electrical cables, and then a lot of it was IT related. It was all fiber optics. So I decided that I would, when I had the opportunity, I would actually come back into the industry. And so I just found that I thought that data center operations was like the most intriguing thing that had come along in a long time. So
interesting. So how did you find this program?
Actually, I started to take classes here at school, and I was asking, well, what the data center was all about. The actual data center here at the school actually already existed. And then I was just asking questions about it. But at that time, they weren't actually offering any classes. So
that's incredible. And so now that you're in the program, what are you hoping to do? Like once you graduate through this program, what's next for you?
Actually, hopefully, gainful employment. That's what I'm looking forward to, and I'm hoping I can actually generate some income with this. But it's all about getting on your feet and getting your hands and your arms and everything into the industry. And so I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, I love the story because clearly you're doing a pivot in your career, right?
Massive pivot. Yeah.
Right. And you've got this journey, you've got a fabulous foundation and a lot of really great transferable skills. And here you are with this growth mindset, someone who's seeking to learn, reaching out, looking for opportunities to grow your mind. I mean, any data center operator would be lucky to have you.
Well, there's quite a few other academic and also on-the-job training opportunities I had. I put myself through a commercial driver's license school, and when I got my CDL, I wanted to drive a fuel truck, and that's the only thing I wanted to haul was just petroleum products. And so they put me on a schedule where I actually went out and I actually fueled generator systems for different buildings. Mm-hmm. And so that was kind of my introduction into how the generator and auxiliary power systems work with data centers. I had made deliveries all the way out at Palo Verde Nuclear Power Plant, and that was kind of an eye-opening experience, and I kind of liked it and enjoyed it, and I wanted to know how I could become more part of the industry.
Yeah, someone who clearly likes to work around risk and critical environments. So we're super glad that you're here and taking this program, and we're going to see you operating a data center here in the near future.
I'm looking forward to it, actually. Yeah. In fact, I will go ahead and make the announcement now that as soon as I actually land my job, the first round of liquid refreshments on me. So I'll do that.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Thomas. It's so nice. Thanks so much for sharing a little bit about yourself. And hopefully we're inspiring some folks. You entered into this field in a lot of different ways. And I've met so many people who have taken that career pivot and said, hey, the industry is changing and I can see that. And I'm going to go figure out how I can fit into the future. So thank you so much, Thomas. Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, I have another student here who's taking this program, technical school, and tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us who you are. What were you dreaming about when you wanted to be when you grew up?
So my name's Austin, and when I was still in high school, I wanted to be a graphic designer. I took about 3 classes in high school for graphic design, and I fell in love with it. And I actually originally started here at Estrella with a graphic design degree plan, and I was moving through that, and then COVID hit. And we transitioned to online, and I just couldn't do it. So I had to drop that. I went out and I got a job. And
very productive of you. So a lot of people didn't.
I worked my way up into that job. The job is at main event entertainment. I worked my way up into the technical services branch, and I found that I liked working with my hands and working with tools, but I didn't like what I did.
Okay.
And a flyer came in the mail for the Estrella Mountain Community College data center course. My mom's like, look at this. And I'm like, oh, interesting. That'll probably pay more than what I'm making now.
Yes.
So we applied, and now I'm here.
And now you're here. So what are you looking to seek? Once you graduate from this program, what are you looking to do next? What are you hoping will be the next chapter for you?
A job.
Yeah. What type of job?
Hopefully a job in a data center.
Yes, that's the goal, right? That's the goal. We talked about there's a lot of different avenues into it. Is there something sort of on your mind that you've kind of got your eye on?
Not right now.
Still exploring.
Still exploring.
There are a lot of options, but you're in the right place to explore that and learn how to ask the right questions. And I think you're in great hands with Jesse and Jim to get you there to success, right?
I agree.
Yeah. Thank you so much for taking a few minutes with me and inspiring the next generation.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hi, thank you so much for joining me on Hands on Heroes. Now, we're here at Estrella in the data center program, and what were you dreaming about? Well, first, tell us who you are, of course, and then tell me what you were dreaming about before entering into this program.
I'm Aleem Sisay, first of all. I'm an international student also from Sierra Leone. I'm here with him. Actually, we've been going through life. Basically, we have the same story. But when I was younger, I wanted to be a doctor, But over the years, you start losing some dreams and developing new ones, and striving to go towards other things. So I kind of got into tech later on when I got here, actually, because when I came here, electrical engineering was so much, I was so into it, but then it was because me and my dad, we actually had a conversation about it. Came here, then I started figuring out my degree again all of a sudden. When you're here, it's different from back home. You hear a lot, but then you get here, you actually start to see things. You start seeing how the world's going, and the world's progressing more into tech also, and it's less of a responsibility compared to being a doctor. It's like I'm always scared of making a mistake, and then other people have to, account for it. And so I was like, okay, tech is better for me. It's I could study and I could make money and then help people too, and it takes a shorter time to do it, and then it will be better for me. So I got into tech, started with software engineering. Then it wasn't my field, so I looked into cybersecurity. I was working at one time, and this man, he was from the military. He came in and he was telling me about the job opportunities, how good it is. He's even going into it now. So we had a conversation about it, and he won me over with it. And I was like, okay, cybersecurity is a big field, so I'm willing to, go through the works and see what I can get from it. I do have an end goal, but I'd love to start wherever and then build up and go, as time goes on, I'm young, I will get there, inshallah, and it's little by little.
What is the end goal?
I want to be a DevSecOps engineer. Yeah.
That's fantastic. So what I really heard you say is, hey, I like helping people. And I thought that being a doctor was going to give me that. And then you started seeing where the world was going. And the reality of it is tech is in everything we do, including medical. Yes. And so I love that you just kind of kept your eyes open and you stayed curious. I think Jesse said that was one of the things that he knew you were going to be good in this world of data centers if you were curious. And you kept looking and exploring. And I love that you mentioned your parents, because so much of that early exposure of what we're talking to much younger people about, that electrical engineering is another, that's another stepping stone of your exploration of that ultimately ended up here. And so really great story. Thank you so much for sharing that and inspiring the next generation. Thank you.
Your time.
Hi, thanks so much for joining me on Hands-On Heroes, here with another student in the data center program, and want to talk to you a little bit about, one, who are you? Introduce yourself, and then let us know what you were dreaming about when you grew up.
So my name is Jonathan. I grew up with the hopes and dreams of being an architect. I love designing. I've always been more leaning on my creative side of my brain. So that's something I've always kind of aimed for growing up, because I love art, I love designing, I love creating. As I grew older, I wanted to pivot into something more reliable, I would say, as in engineering. I wanted to hop into civil engineering, but then I ended up switching again into computer science because I just have always loved programming. I've always loved creating digitally, and like games or little things like that, little projects that I've been able to create on my own. So I found out about this program through Estrella Mountain because I was taking a semiconductor course on where they taught us how to be technicians at a semiconductor. It was very hands-on and condensed in a 3-month program. And I loved it, I enjoyed it. But towards the end of it, they had offered us that the Estrella Mountain AIT program was also going to offer a data center course. So I definitely looked into it, and I had no idea what it was about. And so the more I looked into it, the more I found how interesting it was, and the more I wanted to learn about it. So I signed up for the program right away. Because I didn't want to lose my spot. It is a growing industry in Arizona right now, and I know a lot of people are trying to get into this workforce and workspace in the industry. I got my foot in the door through taking this class, and now I'm hoping to work at a data center as a technician.
That's fantastic. Yeah. So sometimes your avenue, where you start, again, this is just another example of just exploring and keeping your options open. One of the things you talked about was, being curious and wanting to be creative and having a creative outlet. And I love that because I hear that so often, that people are looking for a creative outlet and they think they've got to go major in art at a 4-year community college. And I mean, you can be creative and not have the 4-year the 4-year university higher education. You can still be creative with the 2-year degree and still thrive with a great job out there. So I absolutely love that you said, hey, I want to be creative. This is going to give me that creative outlet. Also feeds my technical and design side of me. So again, we welcome all people. And folks sometimes are like, how do I get into data centers? Well, you found it, right? You found it here at Estrella. I appreciate that. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you so much for joining us on Hands on Heroes. I have another student here, and we've saved the best for last. I'm teasing a little bit. I've been hanging out with these students here for the last hour, so we've gotten to know each other a little bit, but let's share with our audience. Tell us who you are, and I want to know a little bit about what you were dreaming about when you grew up.
Yeah, my name is Alvin Medalia. When I was young, I wanted to be an automotive technician like my father. Then I switched to being a civil engineer like my partner over there. And then some bad choices led me back to being an automotive technician. And I've been doing it for 20 years. Then I had an opportunity to move into the facility and making installation for homes. Yeah, that's how I got into the PLC. And they're putting me through college to learn PLCs, and I never heard of data centers until this class.
All right, so we're using acronyms. For those who don't know, what's POC stand for?
Programmable Logic Control. There you go.
There you go. There you go. We have a lot of acronyms in the military, but a lot of them in data center for sure. And so if you're used to it, it's easy, but I've gone through my whole career using an acronym, and someone will ask me what it is, and I'll be like, you know what? I don't think I've ever asked that question. I don't know. So tell us, you were dreaming about being a mechanic, and I love that story because you talked about that early exposure with your father, and now here you are. What drew you to this program?
It was actually started with a HR lady that I work with, that she put me to the facility. She knew I could do it, and they gave me the opportunity to switch from being an equipment manager to the manager of the facility. Yeah. And then from there it just took off. It was similar to maintenance on an automotive vehicle. Yeah. And I just took over and just ran with it.
I love that. So you found a natural transferable skill, and are you enjoying this side of things more than mechanic, or are you still going to continue to tinker on cars and trucks?
I still tinker on cars and trucks, but this class opened my eyes to data centers, and I'm really interested in data centers now.
That's exciting.
Trying to get into it.
Yeah. What are you hoping? What is the end game for you to get once you finish this program?
Finish this program. Hopefully I can get to a company, a data center that work with the POCs.
POCs. Yeah, that's your favorite. Well, there you go. And now we all know what a POC is. So thank you so much for taking a few minutes and inspiring the next generation. Yeah. Thank you for watching this episode of Hands on Heroes. Make sure to like, subscribe, and click on the bell to get notified every Thursday that a new video has been posted. And while we're here, check out another episode. Also, if you're interested in joining the mission, either as a guest speaker or sponsor, visit handsonheroes.net for more information, or reach out to us directly at info@handsonheroes.net.